Hey guys, so as a reminder, if you have not done your warm up for today, you need to go on over to assessments and get that done, please, and then come back and watch the video. Okay? So for today, we're going to take what we learned yesterday with our biased and unbiased samples and apply that to predicting outcomes using samples. So our ICAN is I can predict outcomes using unbiased samples, and this is going to be the ICAN for today, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to cover the same thing and just get into deeper types of examples. So moving forward, looking at the notes. So with predicting outcomes, it's really important that you know that if you have an unbiased sample, then the results are proportional to the entire population. So that means if you can use your sample to make predictions about the population because they should be the same. So remember when we had similar figures and a circle that is proportional to another circle, so you have your little circle and it'll get bigger, but they're the same with proportions. It's the same thing with this, like 1/2 is equal to 2/4. So because there's a proportional relationship, you can use the unbiased sample results to make predictions. Here's the big deal. Biased sample results should not be used to make predictions about the population. Okay? So the one example we're going to look at is about a middle school. So number 5 says Green Valley Middle School. Sorry, it's doing that. Green Valley Middle School conducted a survey of 125 random students, asking them how much time they spent each night on homework. Results are shown to the table at the left. So we've got a table, and let's just think about the situation. So we've got a middle school. Sorry, guys. We've got a middle school conducting a survey of 125 students, okay? So 125 random students. So they talk to 125 students, and they're asking them how much time they spend on homework each night. So they're asking each kid, hey, how much time do you spend? So like right now it'd be, hey, how much time are you spending each day on remote learning? And then it's over here. So let's read the table so we can understand it. So there were 4 students that said they spend between 0 and 30 minutes. 64 students said they spend between 31 and 60 minutes. And 25 students said between 61 minutes and 90 minutes. And 32 spend over 91 minutes on homework each night. Okay, so that's what the table tells us. If we add up all of these, we get 125. Okay, that's important. If you added up all of those. So A says, what percent of the students spend no more than 30 minutes on homework each night? So we're going to get percent. So remember percent, we have to set up a fraction. So it's the part over the whole. So we want the percent of students that spend no more than 30 minutes on homework each night. So if you want no more than 30, that means you're okay with 30 and below. That's like if you tell mom, I'll give you no more than $10. You wouldn't give her $11. So no more than 30. Well, if I look in my table, 4 students spend between 0 and 30. So I would use the 4. It's being awful right now. Okay. The rest of these, that's bigger than 30 minutes because I'm 31 to 60. That's greater than 30. Don't want that. 61 to 90, greater. Don't want that. Greater than 91, not less than 30. So there's 4 students that spend no more than 30 minutes. Out of, well, how many students did they survey in all? Well, they surveyed 125. Well, remember that to turn that into a percent, we've got to turn it into a decimal first. So in your calculator, like I'm on my phone right now, I'm doing 4 divided by 125 because remember division signs are just big, or fraction signs, sorry, are just big division signs. So when I divide that, I get 0.032. And then, so we've got a decimal, and to turn that decimal into a percent, we move it 2 places to the right. So 1 So our percent is 3.2%. And that's not a big percent. So very few students are spending less than 30 minutes. Okay. So part B. What percent of students spend at least 31 minutes on homework each night? So there's a few ways you can do this, and some of you are going to start spinning your wheels and you're going to say, well, I can do it this way or that way. I'm going to do it one way and then I'll explain the other, and I might not do it in complete in front of you. So doing it the way that we just did this one, it says what percent, so we're going to want a percent as our answer, of the students spent at least 31 minutes on homework each night. So if you told Grandpa, I need at least $15 for new jeans. You need at least $15. That would mean you need $15 or more. So at least 31 minutes means 31 minutes or more. So we want 31 or more minutes. Okay. So, well, is this more than 30 minutes? Yep. So I'm going to need those. Is this more than 30 minutes? Yep. So I'm going to need those people. Is 91 bigger than 30? Yep, so I'm going to need it too. So when I add all of those up, I get 121. So there are 121 students out of 125, because that's my total number of people sampled, that spend more than 31 minutes. And again, we'll go through the steps of, well, we've got to turn that fraction into a decimal. So you would do 121 divided by 125, and we get 0.968. Well, I want a percent in my answer is what the question asked for. So we've got to move over twice. 1, 2. So the percent is 96.8. Some of you, I'm sure, oh, that's a percent. I forgot. Oops. I'm not at school to have you guys correct me. Sorry. But some of you would say, well, I know this is 3.2%. I could subtract it from 100 because this is less than 30. This is more than 30. So if you saw that, that's fine. Just know it works because A is dealing with less than 30 and B is dealing with strictly more than 31. So if there were other constraints or they didn't word it that way, you couldn't just subtract from 100. Doing this where you do your part or the piece of the sample over the whole will give you the correct one whenever you go decimal then to percent. So C. C is where we start predicting, okay? So C says if there are 1,200 students in the school, approximately how many would you expect to spend more than 1 hour on homework each night? We got to read that again. Okay, that's going to take some work. We got to read it again. If there are 1,200 students in the school, approximately how many would you expect to spend more than 1 hour on homework each night? So first thing, let's look at what's important. So my question is, how many would you expect to spend more than 1 hour on homework each night? So that means expect means that we're predicting. We're going to use our information to predict. And it says more than 1 hour. Well, I don't see 1 hour over here. I'm dealing with minutes. So how many minutes, this thing's being awful right now. How many minutes is in 1 hour? I need to convert that. Well, that's 60 minutes. So let's read it again once we fix that. If there are 1,200 students in the school, approximately how many would you expect to spend more than 1 hour on homework each night? Oh, I'm sorry. More than 60 minutes on homework each night. So remember how I told you when we set this up, we were doing part over whole, right? Well, whenever we're going to set this up, we're going to have a proportional relationship. So remember, proportions look like this. Something over something equals something over something. That's a proportion, right? So you take the original fraction. So let's look at our sample. So we're looking at students who spend more than 60 minutes. So these two groups spend more than 60 minutes right there. So 25 plus 32 is 57. So I've got 57 out of the 125, okay? 57 is my amount with 30 or 60 or more minutes, and 125 is the total number of students. So I'm going to put that right there. Then it said, well, I need to know what to fill in over here. It says there are 1,200 students, and we want to know how many would be spending 60 minutes or more. And remember, your units have to match across. So this is 125 total students, and this is spending 60 or more minutes. I know there's 1,200 students in the school, in all. So that means it would go in the denominator. So there's 1,200 total. Forgot how to spell for a second. And I don't know how many of them would spend 60 minutes. So that's why the X goes on top. And remember that you can either scale up or you can cross multiply. So if we cross multiplied, you would do 125 times X, which is just 125X, equals, let me move my head out of the way, equals 57 times 1,200. Pull out my handy dandy phone calculator. Well, 57 times 1,200 is 68,400. And I didn't do anything with the 125x yet. Now I've got to, this is just a one-step equation now. I've got to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by 125 on both sides. So now x equals, hold on, sorry, handy dandy calculator. X equals 547.2. We can't have 0.2 students though, can we? We just can't. So this one, you could round up or down and I would accept it because it doesn't ask you how many whole students or anything like that, but it says approximately. So I would round down because roughly the 0.2 says down, unlike your warm-up last week where it asked how many weeks for a certain amount of money and you had to round up because of that. So X equals 547 students. And it's approximately. Okay. So before I show you your homework, there are two questions that I want to quickly go over. Oh, nope, I messed up. There's not enough time, so we'll have to do that tomorrow before I make your lesson. I will go over them then. I do want you to look at your homework. So if you're at home, you're going to want to pause this or get out the document and write your answers on a Word document or take a picture of it if you write it on paper and make sure you save it to that jump drive so you can get credit. If you are at home, you're going to go to assessments and you will do this assignment on assessments. Now, make sure that you are rounding appropriately, that you are setting up proportions, that you get a percent and not a decimal. If you have any questions, again, you need to email me before you click that show answer button. If you're clicking the show answer button before you talk to me, then that's not good. That's not how we learn, okay? So, I hope you guys have a great day or not, depending on when you're doing this. Bye, guys.